Jaya Ho Mata. We have already issued 2 speeches on the pragmatic spiritualism of AMMA, the mother of all, who is more popularly known as General Modi Amma. We have to continue that subject, and we have identified one major dimension, the interrelationship between the creator and the creation. Now, we are the created, we are a part of the creation, and we are qualified by action, reaction, reflex action, and chain reaction. This entire concept of action is internal, subtle, and explicit also. The human physical body immediately reacts to the manifest action. The mind reacts to the internal action, and the intellect reacts to the subtle action. There is a state where there is no action at all. In the 2 important aspects of the intellect and the mind, which are generally known as the buddhi and manas, the dynamism of the thought functions very frequently and affects the mass. The action is promoted, prolonged, intimidated, and at the same time withdrawn. There are different steps wherein the involvement in the action is found. What is the action? In the traditional philosophy, the action is called as karma. It has been told in Bhagavad Gita, karma brahmodbhavam vidhi, brahmakshara samudbhavam. It is a very beautiful expression wherein the imperceptible and indestructible or akshara gives birth to the Brahman, and wherefrom the action evolves. So, it is a stage of secondary stage in the creation, wherein karma leads to yajna, parjanya, anna, bhuta, etc. If we identify the same phenomena with the action is the subtlest action which cannot be perceived by any type of senses. It is the kinematic quivering, which has been very much felt in the absolute space or pure outer space. It is called as Chit Shakti in the Indian tradition. The kinematic quivering is Chit. It is the first impression, first expression, first momentum or primary momentum. Everything is only a frequency of that particular primary momentum with dispersion and deviation and direction. That primary momentum has been mentioned by the mother as the Prathama Spandana. Prathama Spandana is the primary moment. That primary moment is also identified as Vikara in some of the Puranic texts. The science understands it as kinematic quivering. When that quivering multiplies, the range of the expansion of the quivering is the network of the action. That action bounces again to the nucleus. When it loses its expansive power, it contracts immediately. That is bouncing towards the nucleus. The power evolves and emanates from the nucleus. It expands as action in the form of waves. Then again it emanates as wave, stands on its own, and again it touches the nucleus. That particular part can be understood as the origin of the energy particle by Vedantri Maharshi. Amma has clearly told it as Prathama Spandana, or the primary quivering. That primary quivering is the very decisive factor in the creation. It is the mother of all. It is the progeny for all types of changes, actions, activities, which are subsequently became implicit, explicit, manifest, modified, and found to be very much different. Thus evolved a dual world, or a world with dualism of the action and actor, subject and object, atmosphere and geosphere, outer sphere and inner sphere, super self and inner self. In this way, there is a dual system which has been promulgated and which has become very much enunciated in the course and force of creation. Creation is a course, it is at the same time a force also. When course and force have found very much refraction through the 5 elements and the fine 5 elements, then we can identify the refraction. That refraction gives rise to what is called as Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, and the same give rise to the sky, air, fire, water and earth. It is the core component of all the human bodies, all the visible bodies, both living and non-living. All the living and non-living visible bodies which are found on the earth, they are very much what we call explicit, they are manifest. It is a manifestation. It is called Sat. It is the representation of the dynamic consciousness. The consciousness which was primarily imperceptible and secondarily dynamic, it has become functional when it is limited to the biomagnetic current of the human body and the geospherical forces of the earth body, terrestrial body. So, this is a fact which we cannot decline. It is a science of creation, it is a course of creation, it is a force of creation, it is a source of creation, wherein the entire thing is subjected to action. Thus, we have to understand the action as very important. Action is called as karma. All the religions, all the philosophies in the world have given significance to karma. Karma is considered to be an unavoidable, inexpressible and inexorable factor. What is that karma? Amma has her own exposition towards karma. Karma is identified to be an attribute of the Bhagavanta or the Creator. So, the mother gives a beautiful explanation. Her logic must be taken into consideration. The God is creating you. Creation is an action. You are created by the God through the process of creation, and the Creator and the creation are nothing but the self-transformation of the same. The imperceptible consciousness has transformed into dynamic consciousness and has become functional consciousness, where you are attributing the functional consciousness with the body as the action. So, the action is not to be attributed to the body, it is to be attributed to the imperceptible consciousness itself. When the imperceptible consciousness turns into dynamic consciousness, the first stage of action evolved. Then how the man who is thousands of kilometers away from that particular nucleus is related with the action? That is the question of Amma. Because the God himself is not attached to the action. The God whom you are claiming to be the Creator is not attached to the action. Then how the individual who is thinking that action is made by him is really attached to the action. There is always a detached attachment, and it is understood to be an attached detachment also. Basically, it is detached attachment. In the sense, the primary function has been detached from the nucleus, which is imperceptible consciousness. Then the first dynamism has come into existence. The first dynamism has been multiplied in different frequencies, and through a process of refraction and reaction and reflex action and chain reaction, and the entire creation has come into existence. In this context, we are not influenced by the karma. We are influenced by only the spirit of the karma, not directly the karma. And the human body, which is thinking that it is doing an action, is not the author of the action. It is not even thinking of the action. But the Vedantins want to say that there are dispositions. Dispositions create a desire in you. Desire will be making you make an attempt. Attempt results in action. Vasana, Ichha, Prayatramu, Karma. This is a sequence which the Vedantins propose. Amma is quite against it. She is not in consonance with that particular approach of Vasana, Ichha, Prayatna and Karma. She is more clear in her approach that when the God itself is detached from the action, how the man who is already detached from the God is attached to the action? That is the question. Here she understands karma as a cosmic phenomena, not a terrestrial phenomena. Because it is a cosmic phenomena, it is not related with the humanity or the humanitarianism or the biomagnetic circulation. It is beyond the pressure, function and direction of the biomagnetic circulation. It is also beyond the astromagnetic circulation. It is simply a cosmic intra-action. Then how can it be attributed to the terrestrial bodies? That is the argument of Amma. So this is similar to that aspect of Lord Buddha, who has told that karma is not your concern. He accepted karma, but he accepted the terrestrial reaction. Terrestrial reaction is the karma, which is explicit, implicit, manifest and thought to be an experience. That means there is always an interaction between three bodies. One is the cosmic magnetic self, which is imperceptible consciousness. The biomagnetic self, which is the dynamic consciousness, and the geomagnetic self, which is the objective consciousness. So the objective consciousness reacts with the dynamic consciousness and it is connected with the imperceptible consciousness. In such a situation, the direct link of the man between the earth and the man, human body, the mind and the visible, the atmosphere and the terrestrial sphere, they influence a pressure on the human mind. They create a pressure on the human body. That pressure makes the human body thinks that he is the author of the action. Actually, he has nothing to do with the things, because the earth is very much placed in the solar family. Solar family is nuclearing around the sun. All the distractions, distortions, diversions, deviations, dimensions are all due to the solar multiplications. When that multiplications are influencing the dynamic consciousness in the human body within a limited mass, without having any relationship with the direct space, then it speaks of a relationship between the earth and the body. Annad bhavanti bhutani. This is the concept. Annad bhavanti bhutani. The food gives rise to the bhutas or the living beings. So as the food is born from the earth, everything is attributed to the earth. This is simply a foot web between geosphere and geomagnetic sphere and biomagnetic sphere. It has nothing to do with the atmosphere, but has something with the astrological plane. The astrological movements, the astrological deviations, the astrological coercions, they all affect the voltage of the biomagnetic circulation in the human body, which in turn is also sandwiched by the geomagnetic circulation. Amma has clearly understood this concept. She did not explain in terms of magnetism, but she had taken the concept of magnetism. She called that magnetism, or the revolution of the magnetism, as time. When magnetism revolves as a circle, as a circuit, it is what is called as time. Time is nothing but the nucleic functioning of the circle. When the circle is functioning intranuclear, it is a time which is not perceptible. When it is functioning within extranucleus area, it is perceptible time. That perceptible time is covered and calculated from minutes, seconds, hours, days, years. So, man is bound by kala, man is bound by karma. Kala is the expressible time, karma is the expressible action. Karma is controlled by atmospherical forces supported by the astrological forces, biomagnetic forces and the geomagnetic forces. When these three forces form a triangle, the perceptible karma comes into existence. This is very well accepted by Taittiriya Upanishad. It says, Asadva agramasit tato vai sajadayata. In the earlier stage, there is only the imperceptible, and subsequently the perceptible has come. How the perceptible has come? Due to the impact of the astrological forces on the atmospherical forces, and those forces on the biomagnetic forces, and both being sandwiched by the geomagnetic forces, there is a triangle. In this triangle, the earth is the base, the air and the fire are the two elements, and the apex point is the solar energy. That solar energy functions through the air and the fire, and it makes the body a biomagnetic schedule, biomagnetic unit, and is controlled by the geomagnetic base. This is the karma concept. If we explain scientifically, Mother has very clearly on the tune with this particular aspect. She has identified the dualism inevitable. Because the earth is there, the man is standing on the earth, the man is looking at the earth. Earth is everything for the man. It is the perceptible God or perceptible divinity according to Amma. There she has given a role for geomagnetic circulation, which is controlling the biomagnetic circulation, and which are totally controlled by the astromagnetic circulation. This trio of karma is very, very important in understanding the relationship between the birth and the death, and the concept of rebirth also. Karma is very much related with the rebirth. Most of the religions throughout the world are speaking about the rebirth, and entire Indian philosophy is thinking of giving up the rebirth, not having the rebirth. How to be relieved from the rebirth? It is a problem throughout the Indian philosophy. Mother did not accept the concept of rebirth at all. She is very specific, pragmatic between 2 points. One is the birth and another is the death. Birth is a modification of the primary modification of the 5 elements. Death is the secondary modification of the physical formula called as the body, which is nothing but the formation of the 5 elements. So, it is birth is a change, death is a change. Action is nothing but subtle. It is not an attribute to the human body. he has nothing to do, nothing to claim with or claim for, then there is no birth, there is no death, then there is no rebirth. Then how to understand this concept from the question of action? In Bhagavad Gita, which has been told regarding the birth and death cycle, those who take birth must die, and those who die must take birth. What is this concept? This concept is only within the limited scale of the astromagnetic circulation, geomagnetic circulation and biomagnetic circulation. So, this is the concept which is totally understood in the terrestrial plane, and that is why it is proposed in the karma theory of Bhagavad Gita, which is very much speaking about the outer exposure of the human self, the motor organs, the karma. They are the organs meant for the karma. They are supported by the body. The body and action and the earth, three are supporting each other. So, that is why the man is having a claim of karma, claim our karma, and he is trying to understand the karma. Actually, the concept of karma, what is told in the Vedantic philosophy, is totally different from the mother's philosophy. In the mother's philosophy, there is no birth, there is no death, there is no rebirth, because this particular creation is always inseparable from the imperceptible consciousness or the marugu. The imperceptible consciousness or the marugu, or which is also called as vidhi or brahma or kevala, becomes everything which is visible, transferable, transmissible, and which are the modifications of the same self. In such a situation, the same consciousness at different levels appears to be distinctive, and those levels are totally 8 in number. The first one is imperceptible consciousness. It is followed by a kinematic quivering, that is called as spandana. It will be leading to a particular functional consciousness, that is asalu. Then it becomes consciousness, radiant consciousness, that is chaitanya. These 4 stages are imperceptible, they are very subtle, and when they are joined with a complex, it becomes karuna, complex of controversies. It is functional consciousness. It is transmitted to taruna. It is claimed by self nenu. It is experienced by manas. These 4 are the lower level strata. These 8 levels are very, very important. Manas is directly related with the body. Manas is directly related with the drishya or the visible. Manas is directly related with the experience, and manas is claimed by nenu, and that is why nenu and manas join together, function together. When manas is dropped, when nenu claims with karuna and taruna, then the claiming is totally different. So, the very functioning of action is totally different. It is an upward movement from the mind to the self, self to the time, time to the dynamic consciousness or functional consciousness, and it is totally distinctive and is a lower plane of the consciousness. If we take in this way, the approach of the mother towards the creator, towards the creation, towards the living beings, towards the concepts of birth, death and action, they are all very much verifiable in terms of cosmic science. It is nothing but an expression given in terms of cosmic science. It is not biogenetic, it is a cosmogenetic truth, and that is why mother accepted that truth, but not the biogenetic truth. The biogenetic truth is subjected to illusion, and Brahman is a person who is beyond illusion. And we are having a revolutionary impression on our human body, and that revolutionary impression is not accepted by the mother. She simply condemned it, and for that condemning she had followed two methods. One is called as jhana and another is called as manana. These two are the methods which are suggested by Amma, the mother of all. One is jhana. If you concentrate with your perspicacity, makes you to be reaching a stage of dynamic consciousness. It is from functional consciousness to dynamic consciousness, from karuna to asalu. When that is merged with a particular state, you will be reaching a very stock force without function, that is amanaska state. Amma accepted Sankhya, Taraka and Amanaska as the three major stages, and three major stages are identified in Manasu, Karuna, Asalu. So, this is the concept, and Manasu, Asalu and Karuna, they are controlled by the mother, by the universe. The universe is one, it is not distinctive, it is apparent to be distinctive, it is apparent to be dualistic, and for her the living is the only penance, the living is the only practice. One has to do the jhana and manana. By doing a jhana, he will be raising his consciousness. By doing a manana, he will be integrating his consciousness. A consciousness is moving upward and totally integrated will be leading to the dynamic consciousness from the functional level, and will be detaching itself from all the limbs, both sensory organs. Then that experience will be leading to a transcendental experience. So, let us try to think of what is this transcendental experience in the case of Amma, whether Amma accepted transcendental experience, or why the yogic darshanas and others are all accepting transcendental experience is another dimension.